Welcome to the bold analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Rigathi flew to Mombasa with a contingent of state officers on what they planned, known as Coast Region Alcohol and Drug Abuse Conference. After running a long campaign in Mount Kenya, the deputy president then camped in the coast. And I followed that event keenly. And there is really something that comes out clearly. That Rigathi taking off those two programs, one is that one on drug abuse and the other one on coffee and tea, his anchor activities, programs are anchored on conferences and and meetings with the regional leaders. That is the direction, rather the approach that the deputy president has taken. But I've not been so much appreciative of it because I tend to see that such forums are just for blame games and excuses and finger pointing without pinning it down to the action points, or rather execution. For example, the coast in Mount Kenya, despite of all those conferences on coffee and tea subsector reforms, the coffee problem is not yet solved. Even at the end of it all, after working as if crushing all those we called that are coffee cartels, there is no solution. It seems not even to be the solution. Now, a perennial problem, this issue of the drug abuse is a perennial problem that we've had in the coast and urban centers for so long. And I think every government that comes into power will always try to posture as trying to fight, trying to counter the drug and substance abuse. But I think, and I've listened to many leaders speaking, there is government efforts suppressing the supply, but many of us seems not to take cognizance of the fact that the big problem is not even the supply. The problem could be the increasing demand for the drug and supply abuse. Now, that conference was not attended by Abdul Somad Nasir. He skipped the event, and I saw the deputy president taking an issue with it. Now, while they were there, they gave some time to officers, because politicians will always want to get their side of the story. But officers also voiced their concern, and one officer rose and bravely told the president, because there have been a lot of political blame, politicians blaming police officers and the people in that system for abetting that. And the truth of the matter is that the issue of the drug is a high-profile crime that it's a high-profile business that a mere police officer or CPD might not be so much viable to do, and the deep connections. And that police officer told the deputy president and the leaders there that even if they arrest people with the drugs and drug barons, they will always receive calls from higher quarters demanding for immediate release of those suspects. And I simply don't just understand why the deputy president became so angry. Because I wanted to listen to his response, because his response to that officer was, he was just shielding any person. That officer said he's been receiving calls. Listen to what Rigathi said.
Hizi madawa wenye kuuza mnajua, pahali zinapitia mnajua, vile zinauzwa mnajua. So let us work on it, and tunataka kusikia ya kwamba kazi imefanyika. Let me confirm for the avoidance of doubt. The issues of orders from above and telephone calls ended on 13th September 2022 at It's 1 p.m. and 48 minutes when President William Ruto was sworn in as the president. Hiyo maneno ilifika mwisho 1:48 p.m. when he took the Bible. Hiyo maneno ya watu kupigia watu masimu ati madawa iendelee ya kulevya, ati mtu aachiliwe. So bwana regional CIO, we have a conversation with you. We would like to know, vile IG amesema ati unasema ushiki watu, ati umepigiwa simu. I want to confirm that President William Ruto cannot make such a call. He cannot. If William Ruto is to make any call, ni kuuliza kwa nini hii watu wakamatwi. And he has not even made that one. I cannot make such a call. Professor Kindiki has not made and cannot make such a call. The IG here has not made such a call. I am sure, I am 100% certain. Our DCI, I mean, is one of the most pragmatic officers in our government, cannot make such a call. So, tutaenda nyuma ya hema tukimaliza hapa, utatuambia. Siko namna hiyo? We want to know. I want to say, this war I am not leading. This is not my war. Mimi ni mtu ya mkono ya Rais William Ruto. Na ndiye alinipatia hii kazi because he cannot agree that we lose an entire generation when we have a government in place. In fact, he is so concerned about this region that last week Saida tuliairisha, alinipigia simu kuniuliza ni kwa nini tumeairisha. Nikamwambia iko mambo ya red eye. Akasema hata kama iko tuendelee. Nikamwambia tu awache wiki moja, nimeambiwa itakuwa imeisha. The commitment of this administration to eradicating crime and other social vices is unparalleled in the history of independent Kenya. And I want to say, if you want to know the commitment of this administration, follow kazi ya Professor Kithure Kindiki. Just follow what he does on a daily basis. The level of commitment is unquestionable. You cannot even question whether this administration has that commitment. So, mambo ati kuna watu watapiga simu, kama hizo simu ndizo zilikuwa zinakusumbua, sasa ufanye kazi yako. Your work.
So this was, Rigathi's response is even telling you that he's feeling uncomfortable by the fact that that officer said he's been receiving calls. That officer did not mention who. He mentioned people from the Deepstate. You know, he mentioned the Deepstate. Then he didn't mention anyone's name. But Rigathi Gachagua picked the microphone, started absolving William Ruto from the blame, Kindiki from the blame, himself from the blame. I don't know who. So I'm like, was it then that forum turned into a blame game forum, with each speaker rising to point a finger on the other person? And when I was just following that, I was like, fine, are these people even going then to get to the root cause of the problem? If they will entertain these blame games of Nani get it right, Nani get it wrong, who is right and who is wrong. And I was like, they're not even interested even on getting the solution, because if they trade blames, then it's very clear that they're not interested in knowing, or rather in getting the solution. And I want you to just listen to this bit of this this other statement from Aisha Jumwa, because even Aisha Jumwa was completely out of this and was trying to pinpoint. In fact, I remember they even told that officer wataenda nyuma so that he explains and gives those names. And if that is going to be the precedence, you know, there is state intelligence. They know, not that they don't know drug barons. And Rigathi Gachagua and the team, the government team, know very well that that officer is not lying. Let's say the truth. That officer is not lying. It is very true. This issue of drugs, it only thrives in corruption. Yes. Kama inaingia na ndege, kama inasafirisha na ndege from this country to other country, we only have it's being leaked out through the airport. So the corruption that drug barons thrive in is at an industrial level. And any other person trying to dispute an assertion that, look here, we have corruption have been deep-rooted, that's why we cannot arrest this situation, that person is lying to himself. I don't think even that is it. And I think there was an Owen buyer who was saying they know they've been getting those areas, they've been interacting with those people, they know very well. But the mere fact that that officer is saying, I've been receiving calls, someone is getting irritated. And I don't know why. You went to Mombasa demanding the answers. You met the officers, and the officers gave you the answers. You know, and let me just say it. Not that leaders are not aware. Even Rigathi Gachagua said that they know the barons. They know. Because if there is an officer who is issuing orders for people to be released, that officer must be deeply rooted and connected. The leaders engage in blame games. I've seen a very interesting debate. I think yesterday, that was a police boss saying that they should be allowed to license the bars instead of county governments because it's a security issue. And I think even the Rigathi Gachagua was supporting them on that. Get that soundbite from Kome. And I was like, is the problem even who is licensing? I know county government is using online portal. You apply online and they license. And for them, they're driven by revenue. Which of course, because they're trying to upscale on-source revenue, the revenue that is collected by the county before the national government allocation. So it's true there is a licensing problem that they will license more, they're likely to license. And Kome is saying let the police license. Let me ask you, what is the difference between police and county government? What is the difference of the person issuing the license? Both of them will license. Because even the liquor board is now within county. Even if you disband liquor board and you make it that go to the CC, the county commander office, that's where you're going, county commissioner's office, that's where you're going to license. That execution will still be bribed. Police are not going to stop. They're not going to stop because they're being given this responsibility. But even now, the police are the ones that move to these residential areas, these liquor stores in residential areas, and take bribes, and those people sell to very odd hours, and they don't even check what that person is selling. So there is a deep-rooted problem. It's a compound problem, and I find leaders a bit too simplistic about it's about the license. It's not about the license. It's not about the person who is licensing it. Even in Nairobi here, Sakaja is saying that get some orders that all liquor stores next to bus stops should be revoked, because according to him, they are idle centers, which is true. Like, they know very well it is an idle center, which is true. People idle around those areas. Number two, he's also saying that people are accessing those drugs easily. If they are far, we might actually limit consumption. The big question here is availability going to limit consumption? The answer is no. In fact, the more we create all this without a very good framework, what's going to thrive is that business is going to thrive in dark market. And that's why people will start selling the alcohol in the bushes. And the moment they go selling those alcohol in the bushes, they are not going to sell the right thing. In fact, what we should be talking about, that business is here. The same way people are buying them zingers in Quivers and the big lodges around here, the big entertainment joints around here, They're the same alcohol that these other fellows are selling. What we should be talking about here is, why is it that in the big joints, people are buying legit liquor, but in these small joints, some people are smuggling the illicit stuff. So we should be looking about this smuggling. Polisi wenye wanaenda kwa ile bar kuinspect, instead of going there to take that 50 bob alafu unachukua gari unaenda, why don't you get inside and check what is that person selling? If you give license, what is that person selling? And after taking the license, let that person operate. Kubaliana, kama operate saa tatu, then you stop taking these 50 bob so that these people are not under pressure to make extra money so that they can pay the police bosses. We need to be very truthful on how we handle it, because I find a way that leaders are just meandering around the problem. It is simplistic to deal with supply, but this is a compound problem that we must also deal with demand. And for me, the challenge is here. The drugs proceed fund our politics. That's what people are not saying. It is these drug barons that fund our politics. So when politicians get there, they have already taken money in their pockets. So you see the exorbitant expenditure in our campaigns. Much of that money is funded from these characters. Now when the politicians get to office, they work together. Now a governor is getting all the millions as a liquor board and is licensing. A police officer who is earning his overtaxed salary. Do you think that police officer will execute any order on controlling liquor stores? So that is why it's a bit of a problem. It's more of a sanity. We need to sanitize ourselves first. Number two, the alcohol consumption is a jobs crisis, especially for the unemployed youth. Someone will ask me, if they're unemployed, where are they getting money to buy? Let's say, if you look at those people in Mombasa, I've gone to Mombasa. I think I went to Mombasa last year. And I went to Old Town. I think someone took me to some place called Mombasa Old Town, if I'm not wrong. And one thing I realized is that I think it was there on a Tuesday and Wednesday. So they're just seated. They're not doing anything. They don't have any job. So it's begging, kidogo, do some very small new job, get 50, pop, go buy. So people are not occupied. So it's just a bit of that. Number three is, I think there is a breakdown of family culture. The breakdown of family culture is at industrial level, and that's a problem, because if you give birth, if you sire children and leave them in the streets, surely. Let me tell you, during our February project, I spent time in Malusi Hospital, and when I was speaking to those nurses, I was shocked. Waliniambia, there's some women that give birth, and after giving birth, they leave the children there and escape, and they just go. Wengi sana. I would be interested to know what happens next. They leave the children there. Some tell you, I'd rather leave that baby here because I'm not going to able to take care. Some go, they leave the child in the house. You find a community worker, finds that child very weak and sick, brings to the hospital, never to follow up. If that child doesn't just get a very good foundation, surely where will he or she end up in? That's a problem. So that's my take, guys. And I promise, if we are going to engage in those conferences, then we should not vilify people who are opening up. Because police, you cannot sit, even the police should not sit and see politicians running with a one-sided story, playing those blame games. Thank you.